Welcome to the Strategy Sync YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like to hear new book summaries. Today we are doing a deep dive into a really revolutionary framework. It's a book that I think promises to fundamentally change how you view your career, your finances, and, well, ultimately your freedom.
It really does.
We're tearing into Laura Anderson's guide, The 10-Hour Work Month. Automate with AI to get rich doing less.
It's an aggressive title, for sure. It's definitely designed to catch your eye.
No kidding.
But the thing is, the book delivers an equally audacious, and she argues, achievable goal.
Which is?
The architecture for hitting $10,000 or more in monthly recurring revenue, while only dedicating about 10 hours of actual focused work to the business.
10 hours a month.
A month. And what's so crucial for our deep dive today is that you understand this isn't just a motivational speech.
Right.
It's a structural engineering plan. It's built on over a decade of her own real-world trial and, importantly, a lot of error.
Okay, let's unpack this right away, because the whole foundation of the book rests on dismantling a really deeply held belief system. She calls it the fake American dream. And we were all told this, follow the straight path. Go to college, rack up a ton of debt for a degree, get the job, and then what? Spend the next 40 years trading your time for money, hoping you can retire when you're too old to really enjoy it.
That narrative,
Yeah.
which has been relentlessly pushed by, all the institutions for the last 3 generations, it basically hijacked the original promise of American ingenuity.
Self-reliance.
Exactly. And when you look at the raw data she presents in the book, the crisis is just... It's so clear.
What are the numbers?
The average degree holder today earns around $65,000 a year, which sounds okay, right?
Surface, yeah.
But they're also carrying an average of $40,000 in student loan debt.
Yeah.
So when degrees become the norm, they stop being a differentiator. They just become a really costly ticket to get into a system that's almost designed to keep you in debt.
And trapped. And she talks about the misery of being trapped in that system and how it comes in two distinct and terrible flavors that I think almost everyone listening has felt.
Oh, for sure.
The first is that mind-numbing dread you feel when your productive work is done by, say, 11 a.m.
But you have to stay.
But you're forced to sit there just watching the clock to show face for the next 6 or 7 hours. You literally feel like a prison inmate because your time is not your own.
That's the classic surrender of time for control. But the second form of misery, Anderson argues it's maybe even more corrosive.
Which is the opposite problem.
Perpetual overwork.
Right.
Now you're watching the clock with anxiety, knowing you are so far behind on deadlines that you're definitely going to be working from home deep into the evening.
Sacrificing your entire personal life.
Completely.
Yeah.
Your emotional plate is just overflowing, which leads to chronic exhaustion, anxiety, and this feeling that no matter how hard you run on that hamster wheel, you're never, ever going to catch up.
And you've done everything right. You followed all the rules, got the degree, put in the hours, and you end up just feeling overworked, underpaid, and asking yourself, how did I follow the formula and end up so miserable?
So the solution in the book is rooted in redefining the goal entirely.
Okay.
Anderson argues that the real American dream isn't about the traditional status symbols at all.
The house, the car.
Right. It's about building something durable and meaningful from nothing through consistent strategic effort that ultimately delivers the Holy Grail.
Time and financial security.
The 2 things you can't get in the old system.
This brings us to the core identity of the book's whole philosophy.
Yeah.
The anti-workaholic.
Yeah, and that sounds like someone who just wants to avoid effort, right?
It sounds like laziness, yeah.
But she clarifies this is a deeply strategic position. It is not about being lazy.
So what is it?
An anti-workaholic understands that immense, focused, hard work is absolutely necessary, but only during the setup and scaling phases. Their defining characteristic is that they immediately focus on finding a strategic loophole. They're always asking, how do I automate and delegate the majority of this necessary hard work?
Work smarter, not harder.
That's the cliche, but it's true. They operate strictly under the principle that the value you provide must always be worth more than the hours you put in. It's a total mindset shift from being a laborer to becoming a systems architect.
And this whole architecture is designed to support that really audacious goal we mentioned, making 10 grand or more every single month while only dedicating 10 hours of your own personal work time. It's the total antithesis of that debt-fueled, clock-watching career model.
Exactly. It's about moving away from the linear, one-to-one exchange of time for money and toward building these self-sustaining, high-leverage systems.
Now, to be fair, she's very clear that this wasn't an overnight thing for her.
Oh, not at all. She's very transparent about that, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
While a system is streamlined now, it took her over a decade of iteration, failure, and just consistent dedication to perfect it.
Right.
The system is followable, but the initial input is significant, which is a point we have to keep in mind as we analyze that 10-hour-month claim.
Absolutely. Okay, so to really give this framework credibility, Anderson starts with a story that immediately grounds you in reality. This isn't just theory. She shares her dramatic rock-bottom starting point. Take us to that moment in 2015.
So she's about 6 years into trying to make a freelance digital career work out in California. She's 26. She's working all these various retail and bartending jobs to survive. And frankly, she's failing.
Just not making it work.
Not at all. She had severe back pain. Her old Mini Cooper was totaled. And after the insurance payout, she was left with basically nothing but a pile of medical bills.
Wow.
She recalls this really humiliating moment where her credit card gets declined at a grocery store. And that's when she knew she was officially, completely financially broken.
But the real crisis, the thing that was the actual catalyst for the shift, that happened at LAX, Los Angeles International Airport.
Right. She had been evicted. She packed everything she owned into 2 suitcases and booked a cheap Spirit Airlines flight back to Florida. It was a total walk of shame.
I can't even imagine.
At the check-in counter, they tell her bags are overweight and she owes an extra $100.
Yeah, she doesn't have it?
She had $30 left in her bank account. That's it.
Wow. You can just feel that kind of physical humiliation.
She describes sitting on the airport floor, right next to a trash can, just openly crying and having to ruthlessly throw away her remaining possessions.
Just to make the weight limit.
Clothes, books, trinkets, whatever it took. And in that moment of complete despair, she remembers thinking that her parents and the whole education system were right, that she should have just gone to college and done the safe thing.
But she didn't let it break her.
No. Instead of letting that shame consume her, she channeled it into this firm resolve. She thought, I cannot let this failure define me.
And that moment of refusal, it connects directly to her earlier stance against the traditional education system. Explain her realization back in that FGCU classroom.
So she had reluctantly enrolled at Florida Gulf Coast University. She barely graduated high school, but she couldn't tolerate the inefficiency of college.
What happened?
She was in an introductory computer science class, and the entire term's goal was to learn enough rudimentary coding to animate a virtual teddy bear.
An entire semester.
A whole semester.
Yeah.
For one virtual teddy bear.
Yeah.
The inefficiency is just staggering.
So what did she do?
She went back to her dorm, typed the problem into Google, and learned the required coding in literally 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
And that was her first pivotal aha moment. The internet had completely dismantled the traditional gatekeepers of knowledge. Why spend $10,000 in 4 months to learn something that 20 minutes of diligent self-teaching could accomplish?
So she dropped out.
Dropped out, moved to California, and spent the next 6 years trying to survive by mastering all these digital trades. SEO, website building, social media, all while working her survival jobs. She calls it her jack-of-all-trades period.
And she was stuck, right?
Yes. She was taking on these really low-level gigs, often charging only $2,000 to build a complete website, a project that could take 3 or 4 months of her time.
So she's working hard, but she's trapped in that low-value time-for-money exchange.
Totally. Until the critical pivot. The first taste of true scalability came when a client offered her $2,000 per month to run their Facebook and Instagram ads instead of a one-time project fee.
Oh, wow. That's a game changer.
It shifted her entire economic paradigm. She realized she could make the same amount of money every single month running ongoing services, which required way less time than building a whole website from scratch.
So she leaned into it.
She dove into what she calls YouTube University, again, mastered Meta and TikTok ads, and just completely pivoted her entire service offering.
And it took her about 5 years of consistent effort from that pivot to hit her first big goal, a $10,000 a month.
Right. And she felt successful, but then immediately hit a new and really frustrating ceiling.
The capacity wall.
Exactly. She was still personally managing all the ads, all the clients, all the admin tasks. She realized she was just working more for the higher income, which completely defeated the point of seeking freedom in the first place.
She was still a prisoner to time.
Which triggered her second aha moment. To scale beyond the limits of one person's time, she absolutely had to delegate the work.
Delegation is so tough, especially when you're used to doing everything yourself. But that breakthrough then led to the third final step that really defines the 10-hour framework.
That was the integration of AI automation. By delegating the repetitive execution stuff to contractors and then introducing smart AI tools to streamline all that digital cholesterol.
I like that term.
Yeah, tasks like scheduling, invoicing, basic content creation. She fundamentally engineered herself out of the daily operations.
So it's that combination.
It's the combination of the digital skill, the human delegation, and the AI leverage. That's what reduced her essential personal workload down to about 10 hours a month, while the revenue just kept climbing. And that's what ultimately led to the 7-figure success she talks about in the book.
It's just a really compelling journey. It shows the framework isn't based on shortcuts, but on a decade of just hard-won lessons about efficiency.
So for you listening, if you're motivated by that journey and you're ready to start building your own anti-workaholic system, the practical first step is laying that digital foundation. And that means choosing a high-value trade.
And the book is very deliberate and almost counterintuitive here. The first instruction is to forget about your passion. That's a bold statement in today's, follow your bliss culture. Why does she immediately reject passion as a starting point?
Well, Anderson's core belief is just super pragmatic. What pays the bills is skills, not passion.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. She argues that if a skill is highly valuable, location independent, and it provides you financial and time freedom, you will naturally become passionate about it because of the lifestyle it affords you.
Ah, okay. The passion comes from the freedom the skill provides.
Exactly. Chasing a low-paying passion project just leads you right back to the misery of debt and overwork. You need to pursue the skill that generates success, and then you can save the passion for your hobbies and your free time.
And those skills today are digital trades. Why are these so much more powerful than the traditional corporate career path?
Well, for one, they're accessible. You just need a computer and Wi-Fi. But critically, they pay for value and results, not for your time or your credentials.
That's a huge distinction.
It is. The book draws this really interesting parallel to traditional high-paying trades, like an elevator technician. They average $150,000 after a paid apprenticeship. Digital trades offer a similar high-income potential, but without the physical constraints or the mandatory degree debt. Businesses need results, and they will pay a premium to the person who can deliver them, whether you have a degree or not.
So how do you find the perfect digital trade without just, randomly chasing trends? The book provides a foolproof system for this. She calls it the sweet spot Venn diagram.
It's the intersection of 3 circles.
Yeah.
The first is your skills. What are you naturally good at, or what are you highly motivated to learn?
Okay.
Second, your interests. This part provides the necessary fuel, right? You need to choose something that keeps you engaged enough to actually pursue it consistently.
And the third?
The third, and this is the most important one, is market demand. What are businesses desperately needing and willing to pay top dollar for right now?
Things like paid ads management, SEO.
Email marketing and automation, high-level copywriting, data analytics, all of those are in huge demand.
The book even encourages you to use AI tools like a complex ChatGPT prompt to analyze your own background and interests against that market demand data.
Which is brilliant because it helps you bypass that overthinking paralysis that kills most entrepreneurial dreams before they even start.
For sure.
And once you have that high demand trade, the next step is crucial for unlocking high earning potential. The riches are in the niches.
Generalists get paid less.
If you generalize, you compete with everyone, and your price is just driven down to the bottom.
But niching down positions you immediately as the indispensable expert. You stop being a freelance writer, and you become a freelance writer specializing in complex regulatory documents for biotech startups.
That specialization is a massive pricing lever. Anderson's own niche, for example, is beauty and skincare e-commerce.
So she combined her interests.
Right. She combines her initial web development knowledge with a personal interest in skincare, and then she focuses her high-value skills, paid social ads, and email marketing specifically on that one sector.
So when a beauty brand needs an expert,
they seek her out because they know she understands their industry inside and out, which justifies a significantly higher price point.
Okay, so you've got your trade, you've got your niche. The next challenge is speed learning. Since the traditional education system is so inefficient, how does the anti-workaholic master a skill quickly?
You have to leverage the internet strategically. Anderson calls it self-learning like a pro.
So For YouTube, you don't just consume passively.
No. You find the top experts in your niche, you watch their content at 1.5 or 2x speed, and here's the key differentiator.
Okay.
You use AI tools to grab the video transcripts. You then feed that transcript into a large language model, and you ask it to summarize the key points or give you the Cliff Notes version.
That's brilliant.
It allows you to vet dozens of hours of video content in just a few minutes, so you can determine if the knowledge is even worth your time before you invest in watching the whole thing.
That's a true application of working smarter. What about finding those battle-tested, high-quality insights from people who are actually doing the work?
This is where she reveals what she calls the search cheat code, using Boolean searches.
Okay, break that down.
Instead of just wading through endless content, she advises using platforms like Reddit, but filtering subreddits like, say, our SEO or our email marketing by top of all time. That helps you skip the low-quality fluff.
Right.
But for real precision, you have to use Google's advanced syntax, what we call Boolean logic, to create these laser-focused queries.
Can you give us a concrete example of how someone listening should be implementing that?
Absolutely. So let's say you're focusing on that really profitable intersection of paid ads and e-commerce, but you want to filter out all the low-value content about Shopify dropshipping.
Okay.
You wouldn't just type paid ads, e-commerce tips into Google.
What would you type?
You would type a very specific query like this: site.reddit.com, paid ads, e-commerce, not Shopify.
So the quotation marks force the exact phrase.
The A&D ensures both concepts are there, and the not filters out all that irrelevant lower-level noise. This technique is just indispensable for quickly identifying high-quality, battle-tested insights without spending hours filtering through junk.
That is a next-level application. Okay, and to bridge that gap between being self-taught and actually acquiring clients, what about credentials?
She advocates for leveraging free, high-quality boot camps, things like Google Digital Garage or HubSpot Academy.
And these aren't meant to replace a degree.
No, not at all. They act as client magnets. By placing these tangible, recognized credentials on your LinkedIn or in your portfolio, you immediately build a level of professional credibility. It just shows potential clients that you're serious and you've invested time into learning validated methodologies.
And the overriding principle here is just consistency. Anderson stresses that 6 months of focused, consistent effort, we're talking 1 to 2 hours, 5 days a week, applying these learning techniques can put you in a really strong position. It drastically shortens the time it took her to figure all this out through pure trial and error.
Right. So once that skill is acquired and the foundation is set, the entrepreneur faces the next and maybe the most inevitable internal challenge: imposter syndrome. The book confronts this head on, and it reframes that feeling of being a fraud as actually an indicator of forward momentum.
This is where it gets really interesting because Anderson shares this painful, real-world anecdote about how she let imposter syndrome completely derail her very first major contract.
Yeah, that $2,000 per month retainer with a skincare brand.
What happened?
She was so focused on proving she wasn't a fraud, that she was worth that high price tag, that she fell into the trap of overcompensation.
So she started saying yes to everything.
She agreed to every single unagreed-upon task the client demanded. Extra influencer outreach. 3 times the... She was effectively working 40 hours a week for a contract that was designed for 10.
And the result was just complete physical burnout.
Total burnout. She eventually just froze when they called, completely paralyzed by anxiety and the realization that she had overpromised and overdelivered to the point of collapse.
What did she do?
She ended up ghosting them for 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
And eventually had to end the contract and return half the money.
That's a devastating learning moment. What was the central lesson she took from that failure?
The lesson was that her work quality wasn't the problem. The client was actually happy with the ads she ran.
So what was it?
Her failure was in her inability to establish boundaries and have the confidence to just push back on scope creep. The fundamental truth she realized is this: clients do not care about your qualifications or your degrees. They care about results, period. If you can solve their problem better than they can solve it themselves, you're qualified.
So that feeling.
Imposter syndrome is often just that uncomfortable feeling of stepping outside your comfort zone and leveling up. And that's precisely where the growth is.
That confidence, once you've earned it, needs to translate directly into your pricing. The book is very, very clear that charging low rates is not a stepping stone, it's a trap.
It is a huge trap. It creates this dangerous psychological feedback loop. If your rates are dirt cheap, Clients immediately assume your work is going to be mediocre. It's the $5 steak problem.
Right. You assume something's wrong with it.
Exactly. Anderson argues the goal is to set rates that force the client to think, this person is expensive, so they must be exceptional. This naturally filters out the clients who are looking for a bargain, who are invariably the highest maintenance and lowest value clients anyway.
And she provides a straightforward pricing formula that starts with the end goal. We want $10,000 a month, and realistically, one person can manage about 5 high-value retainer clients before automation.
So that equals $2,000 per client per month.
But here is where her strategy is different. She says to apply the crucial confidence tax.
Yes. You take that baseline of $2,000 and you immediately add 20 to 30%.
So if we apply 30%, that rate jumps to $2,600 a month.
Right. And this isn't just arbitrary padding. It ensures you have sustainable profit margins. It prevents you from underpricing out of fear. And most importantly, it psychologically positions you as a premium service provider. The higher price implies a higher perceived risk reward, which attracts clients who are ready to invest seriously in getting serious results.
And the absolute key is framing that price around the value, not the time you spend.
Oh, always.
You aren't charging $2,600 for 10 hours of your labor. You're charging $2,600 to provide a proven system that generates a $10,000 return for them, or saves them 50 hours of internal employee time.
Correct. You are selling a multiplier effect, not an hour-by-hour service.
Okay, so once that high pricing is locked in, you face the next, and she says arguably the hardest hurdle, client acquisition.
And the book's guiding principle for acquisition is simplicity. Don't get fancy until you're fancy. Meaning, focus on execution over perfecting your brand logo or your website initially.
Get the clients first.
Get the clients first. And when you pitch, you must always, relentlessly lead with value. Never lead with your price or your resume. Lead with a tangible, specific insight related to their pain point.
So you give them a little taste of your expertise.
A little taste. Don't give away the whole solution, but show them you know what you're talking about. For example, if you're pitching an email marketing service, you might say, I noticed your abandoned cart sequence is generic. Implementing a 3-stage scarcity counter could increase recovery by 15%.
That immediately demonstrates you've done your homework and you understand their business. It shifts the conversation from how much do you cost to how soon can you start.
And you can never underestimate the human element. Anderson tells the story about choosing a branding partner. He was equally skilled and priced similarly to 2 other candidates.
But she chose him. Why?
Because they bonded immediately over their mutual, intense love for the same European football team.
It's that simple sometimes. Building rapport and shared ground is often the tiebreaker in a competitive field. People hire people they like and trust.
She also stresses persistence. Most sales do not happen on the first interaction. She notes that her biggest contracts were only secured after the second or third follow-up. It just reminds you that consistency in action, even in sales, is the only real secret sauce.
Okay, finally, let's look at the advanced strategies for breaking into platforms like Upwork or even traditional job boards like Indeed. What's the secret to getting seen on Upwork?
Proposal mastery, that's what she calls it. Clients on Upwork get dozens, sometimes hundreds, of these cookie-cutter proposals.
So you have to stand out.
You have to capture their attention instantly. The absolute first sentence must address their specific problem, ideally using language you've lifted directly from their job posting. It can't be a generic self-introduction.
No long resumes.
Avoid the long resume format. Focus on clear, confident, problem-solving language.
And for Indeed, which is traditionally for full-time employment, the book outlines a brilliant search strategy for finding high-paying contracts.
This is a massive cheat code for what she calls the college weary. You leverage Indeed's huge database, but you use those Boolean searches again to filter out the noise.
So you're not looking for a freelance job posting.
Right, because they often don't exist. Instead, you use syntax to filter the regular job board. For example, you might search social media management and remote and contract, not entry-level.
And that filters out the corporate job descriptions.
And focuses on high-value roles that can then be pitched as a contract alternative.
And that's the final brilliant acquisition move, pitching yourself to a full-time job posting as a smarter, more flexible freelancer.
Exactly. A company posts a full-time job because they have a serious immediate need. They're also budgeting for a salary, benefits, sick leave, all that overhead. Your pitch shows them they can acquire the necessary high-level expertise immediately without the long-term commitment and expense, just by hiring you as a specialized consultant. It's a really powerful tactic for landing those high-value retainers that fit that $2,600 plus price point.
Okay. So we've successfully learned the skill, we've set the high rate, and we've landed a few premium clients. Now we hit the central focus of the entire book. How do we transition from being a busy freelancer to being a systems architect? This is the engine of the 10-hour work month automation and delegation.
This section absolutely has to be expanded because, like you said, it's the core promise. Anderson starts by quantifying the problem. She calls it digital cholesterol.
Digital cholesterol. I love it.
It's all the necessary but non-revenue generating administrative busy work that just consumes entrepreneurs.
And the numbers are staggering. She says we're losing, what, 12 to 15 hours per week?
48 to 60 hours a month, gone. Wasted on tasks like manually scheduling meetings, tracking down invoices, sorting emails, and creating social media posts one by one. It's an enormous waste of specialized, high-priced human effort.
And her philosophy here is that AI is the answer.
The rule is simple. AI will not replace you, but a professional using AI will. AI is not here to be debated. It's here to take over every repetitive, predictable, manual task that you dislike doing.
It's your assistant.
It operates as your 24/7, high-end, zero-complaint personal assistant.
So let's break down the automated workflows she built. Starting with client onboarding, how do we make that process feel like a high-end concierge service without lifting a finger?
Well, she advocates for these integrated CRM and automation tools, things like Dubsado or Honeybook. The moment a client agrees to your proposal, the system takes over completely.
What happens?
The client is automatically logged into the CRM, and they instantly receive a personalized welcome email that directs them to a comprehensive SMART questionnaire.
The SMART questionnaire is the tactical masterstroke here. It's designed to preemptively gather every single piece of information you could possibly need.
Login credentials, brand first guidelines, target audience data, historical results, all of it in one session. This completely eliminates the frustrating hour-sucking email ping-pong that usually defines the start of a new client relationship.
And crucially, the system completely automates the contract and payment process.
Yes, the tools deliver the necessary legal documents and invoices with one-click payment options. But more powerfully, the system completely removes the emotional labor of chasing money.
How so?
It automatically sends professional, yet increasingly firm reminders at 7, 14, and 30 days past due, including the automatic application of late fees after 30 days.
Recovering that emotional bandwidth, not having to personally feel stressed or awkward about chasing money, is arguably more valuable than the time you save.
Oh, for sure. It allows you, the anti-workaholic, to remain focused on strategy, not on being a finance cop.
Exactly. So another major drain on time is visibility. Staying active and relevant on social media without becoming a full-time content creator. The solution she proposes is batch creation.
Mm-hmm.
How does the anti-workaholic handle content creation in just a few hours a month?
So in one focused afternoon, you use AI chatbots like ChatGPT or similar models alongside design tools like Canva.
Okay.
You feed the AI a core idea or strategy and have it generate a month's worth of content drafts, headlines, captions, relevant hashtag all at once. Then you use Canva's design templates to quickly brand the visual content.
And then you schedule it all?
Finally, you use scheduling tools like Hootsuite or Buffer to take that whole batch and schedule it to go live across all your platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, at optimal engagement times. This frees you from ever having to post manually again.
And the key is to never create content for just one platform.
Never. Always adjust one core idea to fit multiple channels simultaneously.
So that's automation. But the final necessary step to truly break the income ceiling and achieve that 10-hour month is delegation. Why do so many entrepreneurs resist handing off tasks?
Well, there are two main psychological fears. The first one is ego. No one can do this as well as I can, and the quality will suffer.
Right. And the second?
Financial anxiety. I'm going to pay someone, they're going to mess it up, and then I'll have to spend more time training and fixing it than if I just did it myself in the first place.
So what does Anderson say to counter that resistance?
She argues that the reality is that plenty of people can do the work 80% as well as you can. And the 80% rule is the golden metric for delegation.
If they can get to 80%.
If someone else can achieve 80% of your quality, you delegate it immediately. Delegation is a pure multiplier effect. You need to outsource all the production work, the video editing, the ad optimization, the customer support to free up your time for the only tasks that truly move the needle.
High-level strategy, vision setting.
And high-stakes client acquisition.
She drives this point home using the powerful car factory bottleneck analogy. Can we break that down fully for the listener?
It's a perfect illustration of focused energy. So imagine a car factory. It's capable of producing 6 cars per day based on its supply of engines and tires.
Okay.
But it only produces 2 cars. Why? Because its capacity for making steering wheels is limited to 2.
So spending time making better tires is completely useless.
Totally useless. The bottleneck is the steering wheel.
So how does that translate to the anti-workaholic?
For you as an entrepreneur, you have to identify your personal steering wheel. That's the single highest leverage task that, if you stop doing it, the business collapses.
This is usually high-stakes sales, complex strategic planning.
Or maintaining high-value client relationships.
Exactly.
Your tires and engines are everything else: content posting, routine ad management, email sorting, billing. You delegate the tires and engines, the 80% tasks, and you focus your 10 precious hours a month exclusively on the steering wheel, the core 20% strategy.
That brings immediate clarity to where you have to spend your time. So when it comes time to hire, how do we hire smart to avoid that anxiety of a bad hire?
You look for results, not resumes. Anderson strongly recommends starting with a small paid test project.
Why?
Because it immediately weeds out anyone who isn't serious or capable. You're looking for someone who delivers measurable results on that small project. Also, when you write the job post, be hyper-specific. Write a description so detailed and demanding that it actively scares away generalists and low-effort applicants.
So you only get proposals from true specialists.
Exactly. Those who truly specialize in the skill you need. So we've established the system, the skill, the pricing, the automation, and the delegation. This entire architectural shift culminates in a philosophical victory, which is redefining what wealth actually means.
Yeah, the book spends a lot of time just obliterating the traditional struggle-based definition of wealth. The new reality championed by the anti-workaholic is that wealth is defined by the freedom to own your time, not the size of your house or your debt load.
It's the ability to wake up when your body tells you to, not when a boss or an alarm clock demands it.
Right.
It's the freedom to choose high-impact projects based on your own intrinsic motivation, knowing that your automated system is continuing to generate substantial revenue even when you're completely unplugged, traveling, or focusing on your family.
Financial security is necessary, but time. Time is the ultimate non-renewable currency.
That's it.
And this incredible transformation, the book argues, isn't reliant on luck or some hidden talent, but on one simple, almost mundane factor: consistency.
That is the ultimate secret sauce. Anderson stresses that success is never some huge, spectacular event. It's the result of small, often messy, consistent actions that compound over time.
The only people who fail are the ones who stop.
The only people who fail are those who quit when they encounter resistance or because the progress wasn't instantaneous. 6 months of consistent, focused effort applying this framework can drastically shorten the 11 years it took her to build the system from scratch.
That is powerful encouragement. You've given the listener the blueprint to transition from trading their time for money to building a high-value system based on automation and strategic leverage. The anti-workaholic revolution is really about controlling your inputs to maximize your outputs.
And this reliance on technology leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. The entire 10-hour work month framework relies on AI taking over repetitive, analytical, and administrative busywork.
Right.
But the author reminds us that if the machines are handling the bulk of the production, the value of unique human input will inevitably skyrocket.
The machine can optimize an ad budget, but it can't invent the product or feel the client's anxiety.
Exactly. If the algorithms are managing your schedules, writing your initial drafts, and chasing your invoices, then human input, emotional intelligence, complex ethical reasoning, unique creative insight, and nuanced strategic vision, that becomes a premium commodity.
So the challenge changes.
The challenge is no longer how to use AI, but what unique human contribution you are going to cultivate and sell. What is the core, indispensable insight or connection that only you can provide to ensure you remain the high-value, irreplaceable component in your automated high-earning business? That is the question that determines the wealth builders of tomorrow.